Hi and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Sam and today I'm here with another vlog because I am now in Beijing, China. You might be able to see it out the window there. But yeah, I'm in Beijing, China for 5 days. I'm very excited. This is the first day. I'll show you a room tour and then we'll get on with the first day, which is today. And we are going to see, well, we're hoping to see Tiananmen Square, but apparently it's closed for a government thing. So we're not going to be able to see that, unfortunately, but we're still going to be able to see the Forbidden City. And then we're going to go to Wangfujing, I think it's called. Shopping street, which is like a really posh shopping street. It's like the main shopping area and there is a bookshop, so hopefully we can go to that. But yeah, let's get on with today. I'm very excited. I've never been to China before, so I'm trepidatious but also excited to explore a new country, and we have just been to Japan as well, which makes it even better. But yeah, I'm very excited to explore China and see what it's all about. So let's get into the first day and let's head off to the Forbidden City. Let's go. So I'm going to show you the hotel room. Here is the hotel balcony. It's absolutely huge. I'll flip you around and show you. So here is the lobby. All the way down there and over there. And then if we go into the main room, we have an adjoining room. We have 714. Here is, as you walk in, we have a little lounge between the rooms. And you've got a sofa, some chairs. And then if we go into the main room, which is my brother's room, we have a nice queen-sized bed. And he has 2 wardrobes, which I'll cut to and show you in a minute. Then we have the bathroom, which is very nice, white marble. We have a big bath with golden things. We have a separate shower, a separate toilet with, funnily enough, pitch frames in the toilet and the phone, just in case you get stuck on the toilet. And then a twin sink, which I thought was an American thing, but it's not. Then we have obviously the rest of the room. You've got your desk, your big window view with a balcony that you can't access, but you technically still have a balcony. And then if we go through this way, even the ceiling has all stuff on it and the glassware. Here's the lounge from the other view. So if you open up all of these, you got all your amenities, including a kettle and a coffee maker. There is the hallway from the other angle. And then in here is the double room that connects. So you have 2 double beds there. You have the big open window, the desk, the cupboard, which actually has a TV in, which I'll cut to in a second. And if we spin back around, we have the little amenity station here, and here's the main entrance to this room. In here you have a little, well, I say little, a very big cupboard space right there. And then if we turn around again, here's the bathroom. You've got a nice single sink here with a nice bath with all the embezzled towels. You've got everything you could need. You've got a separate shower again, and there is a seat around this side. And then a toilet again with the phone in. So that was the room tour. My hair's a mess, sorry, I've just come off the plane, but yeah, that's the room tour. Hope you like it. Let's get into the China video and explore. So we ordered a taxi off of Didi and we headed over to go to our walking tour, which takes you through the Tiananmen Square and the Forbidden City. Is one of the main ways to get into those areas, otherwise it's extremely long lines. And we did actually get to see Tiananmen Square, which was very exciting. It was a very large space. I was expecting it to be a lot smaller, but it was huge. And we saw the gates here as well. And then yeah, here's Tiananmen Square. we'd got through Tiananmen Square, we went to the Forbidden City, and I can tell why they call it a city, because it's humongous. Like, this is just the opening space of like the first of several areas, and our walking guide stopped every 5 minutes and started explaining different things to us, and it was really interesting, really like, he was really thorough. It was great. And yeah, here's all the beautiful footage of the Forbidden City. I don't think the videos do it justice. It was humongous. One thing our guide pointed out was these dragons up here. There's always 9 of them, because 9 is seen as like a really powerful lucky number. So there's 9 dragons on the roof, and dragons also represent power. And here is the map. All the greyed out stuff is the stuff they have not uncovered yet. All the marks on here are from when the Japanese soldiers tried to scrape off the gold when they invaded. Like I said, the city was very expansive. It was just so big. Like, you can see there's still so much more to see in the distance, and all these giant courtyards and all these people. Like, it was huge. Like, it was probably like 5 times as big as where I live. That was the end of our beautiful Forbidden City tour. Here's some cats that I spotted along the way. Next we headed over to try some Peking duck at a restaurant that our guide recommended. Once we were done here, we headed over to Wangfujing to see the shopping street. We went into a pop mart and we also went to the bookstore, and then we headed back to the hotel. So that was the first day in Beijing, and it was definitely a roller coaster. Like, we did a lot. We saw Tiananmen Square, even though we were told we probably weren't going to see it because something was booked. We ended up getting there anyway. We did a 3-hour tour of the Forbidden City walking tour. We saw Wangfujing and we tried Peking duck. We did a lot and it was a lot of fun. I will say it did take me a minute to get into like the vibe of Beijing because we hear so much in the West of all like, oh, China's bad, China's this, China's that. But then actually being there and being like, not necessarily. This isn't necessarily the case. So it kind of took a minute to kind of overcome everything that we've been told negatively about China to actually be in China and be like, no, this isn't a bad place. This is just like anywhere else. Like, it's a nice city. The only things that I will mention though were it was such kind of a culture shock with like the security of the place. So many cameras everywhere. Like, as we're driving through the city and you start being like, oh, there's a camera, and you start clocking it, you're like, oh, there's another one. There's another one. And even when you're driving down the street, there's like whole like big lampposts and there's like cameras, a pole of random cameras and flashes, and they flash at you and you're like, oh, this is so weird, there's so many cameras everywhere. But it kind of gets to the back of your mind eventually. Once you've been there long enough, you just kind of like, yeah, cameras, film me if you want, I'm not doing anything wrong. You can film me as much as you want. Actually, when we got over that and we were kind of just like, yeah, film us if you want, oh yeah, this security everywhere, it doesn't really matter. It was kind of enjoyable. I really liked it. It was a nice vibe. It felt like a little bit like New York City because it was just random crap happening all over the place. Like, you would be climbing up and down different streets, and there was like loads of bikes all around, parked around, and you'd have to like maneuver your way around them. There was like people driving with their trunks open. There were people doing like yoga and stuff in the street to music, and it was just such a vibe, and it felt like New York City. So Tiananmen Square, I was expecting it to be kind of just like a square, like a normal small size square, but it was huge. It was literally huge. I was not expecting the scale of everything, I should say, in Beijing was just huge. The buildings were huge, the roads were huge. There was like 7-lane roads. It was insane. There was so much space and so much huge things. It was crazy. So Tiananmen Square was huge, and I didn't realize, but it was actually surrounded by so many loads of government buildings, and I got Hunger Games vibes from like the architecture, because it was like these big stone plain white buildings, and they've got like red insignia on, and for some reason that like kind of called back to the capital in the Hunger Games for me. I was like, oh my god, I'm in the Hunger Games right now. There was this huge sculpture in the square as well of like a bouquet of flowers, and it was so beautiful, and it was so big as well. I can't remember what it was for, but it was really cool looking. And yeah, it was a huge square. Then we went to Forbidden City, and our tour guide was absolutely brilliant. Like, it was a walking tour, and he literally walk up to something, we'd chat about it, and then we walk to the next thing and we'd chat about it, and it was so detailed. It was brilliant, and he was a really lovely man. And the scale of the Forbidden City as well, again, it's just huge. I see why they call it a Forbidden City, because it is literally as big as a city. It was crazy. It was like 5 times the town that I live in currently. But maybe even more than 5 times. Fucking hell, it was huge. But like all the details that he told us about it was so intriguing. Like, even like the small stuff of like how the floor in certain areas is slightly raised, because when the emperor would visit, he'd walk in a direct line in the middle of it, and so they raised that so he was like higher than everyone else. Like, even details like that was so interesting to learn. And then we went to a Peking duck restaurant that our tour guide recommended to us, and we didn't have the best experience, because I don't think they particularly liked us, because it was this restaurant and it's obviously really popular. There was like a waiting area, you got a number and you wait to get called to go up into the thing. And we got there, and it felt like a lot of like the locals that were coming in after us, and with the same amount of people as us, like 3 people, were getting let in before us, and like we were watching them, and it's like, okay, they've just come in. 5 minutes later, oh, they're getting seated. What about us? Maybe they had reservations or something, but it just felt a bit like, why are they getting let in before us? We've been waiting for a long time here. And then when we did eventually get let in, like 2 hours later, like I was in the mind of like, let's just go, whereas my mum and brother were like, no, let's stick it out. I really want to try the duck. Whereas I was like, I'm not really bothered. Let's just go find it somewhere else. I don't want to sit here for any longer than we have to. But we were there for like 2 hours, and eventually we got seated, and we didn't get put in the nice bit of the restaurant, even though it was like huge and there was lots of tables. We got shoved into a back room near the kitchens and the toilets, and it was like this small white box room with 4 tables in it. And we got seated in there, and our waiter was really rude to us. She kept like laughing at us, and I was sat facing her, so I was watching her like pull all these different of her co-workers in and pointing at us and laughing and making jokes or whatever. And then when she brought our drinks over, she slammed them onto the table, and it was like, chill out, chill out. And all that, and the food wasn't even that good in there. Like, the Peking duck, I'm obviously a big fan of crispy duck from the Chinese takeaway, which is, I know, a completely different kind of way to cook duck, but I do think I preferred it, because the way they cooked the duck there, it was, you actually saw it getting carved, which was kind of cool, but it just didn't really have a distinct flavour in my opinion, and it just tasted like any other kind of cold meat. It didn't really impress me. I actually prefer crispy duck from the Chinese takeaway. I don't know if that's mean to say, but I do. It's the truth. But yeah, so the restaurant experience wasn't very nice, and we were all kind of like tired now and wanted to go back to the hotel, the amazing hotel that we're at. Oh my god, it's so fucking fancy. But I managed to convince us to have a quick walk around Wangfujing, because it was on the way anyway, and it's like this big designer shopping street area with all these big shops, and there wasn't much that I was interested in going to. We went to a Jordan shop for my brother. He really wanted a Jordan's backpack, and then we went to the bookshop. and it was really cool. Everything was in Chinese. There was no English book, which is totally fine. I was enjoying looking at all the different covers, but it got to the point where I finally found the foreign language books. They weren't written in a foreign language, but they were from foreign countries. Like, you'd have English books in there, but they were written in Chinese, and I was expecting them, oh, perhaps maybe this is where the English book, no. But it was really fun kind of spotting, oh, I know that book. Oh, that's so cool how it looks in Chinese edition. But then the announcements played and they closed up, and I was like, oh, I literally just found this section. So me and the security guard kind of had a moment, because he kind of looked at me and then I looked at him and I was like, time to go? And he was like, I was like, okay, yeah, I got, yeah, I'll go. And he was like, yeah. He went like this. And I was like, yeah, a little moment there, that was fun. And then we headed back to the hotel, and that was it for the first day. So that's my little yapping session. I had a great day. It was a lot of fun. It was a very new experience, and there was a lot of emotions. Like I said, it started off with a bit of apprehension, and then once you start getting into the groove, and you're like, yeah, there can be cameras as wherever they want. They can film me, do whatever. It was fine, and I had fun, and it was fun being in a new country and seeing new things and experiencing new things and seeing how the locals lived and stuff. Like, I enjoyed it, and in reflection, I enjoyed it even more. But yeah, on to day 2. On day 2, we are going to the Great Wall of China. So that'll be very exciting, going to one of the world wonders. Let's get into the footage of day 2, and I'll show you what we got up to. So it is day 2, and we are now at the Great Wall of China. You can't see it in this picture, that's the background, but I'm in the Great Wall of China. Right now, I'm in the Great Wall of China. How cool is that? I'm in the 14th watchtower. It's so cool. So this is day 2. We're here at the Great Wall of China. Let's go.
Oh my god. Oh my fucking god. Oh my fucking god. Fuck. No, I'm not going down no toboggan. No, no, no. I'll cut the audio out of this video.
Okay, so that was my day at one of the world wonders. How freaking cool was that? It was such a great day. We did like a bus tour to go to it. And yeah, it was really cool. I'm so privileged to be able to say that I visited two of the world wonders now. Like, I've seen the Colosseum twice, and now I've seen the freaking Great Wall of China. What is my life? How have I seen this already? I'm 22 and I've already seen two of the world wonders. I'm so lucky. But yeah, it was so cool to see. There was a part of me that was a little bit disappointed in a sense, because I don't know why, but in my head I'd built up the Great Wall to be so much bigger than it actually was. Like, don't get me wrong, it was huge in the sense that it was long. Like, when you were stood at the high points and you could literally see it span for miles and miles along the mountainside, it's an incredible feat of engineering and building. But I was expecting it to be like wider. Like, it was long, but I was expecting it to be wider. Because when you get up there, it's a wall. I mean, it's in the freaking name, Sam. It's a wall. But for some reason I was expecting it to just be like, I don't know, just wider, because there's like room for like 3 people stood side by side, like with my shoulder width side by side, maybe 4. It's about that size, and I was like expecting it to be like wider. I don't know why. One thing that also made it incredibly more cool was there was cats. There were cats on the Great Wall of China. I say cats. There was 2 that I saw, but I'm sure there's more. But there were cats on the Great Wall of China, and they were just like actually at the top where you go up the cable car and you get to the top of the wall, and there's literally just cats chilling out, sleeping on the Great Wall of China. I'm like, oh my god, to be this cat would be so cool, just chilling on this ancient monument. One thing that pissed me off though was some of the tourists were like yanking their legs to try and get like reactions for their pictures, and I'm like, leave the fucking cat alone. Like, no, leave it alone. That really pissed me off. But yeah, the Great Wall of China was really cool. We went to like I can't remember the name. It began with an M, and I think it's like one of the most popular places to go and visit it. So we went there, but I can see why it's popular because there's like 2 high points, and you get a really good view of like it stretching across the mountainsides, and the mountains were so stunning. You could look out, and there were just gorgeous mountains covered in trees all the way in the distance, and it just looked so picturesque. It was beautiful. So I see why it's a popular place to go, and it's really well preserved part of the wall as well, which was really cool. You go up kind of 2 different points. So the first point we went up on this kind of cable car, like an enclosed one, totally fine, really cool. You can see the wall as you go up. The second one, death bloody traps, and it was terrifying. It was horrible. Like, just the sense of like I could fall off. What about if I lean forward? What about if I accidentally lean too far back and it swings? What about if a gust of wind pushes us? It was terrifying. There was nothing holding us on. So me and my mum that went on it, we were like petrified. We were like, oh, because it was going over such like large drops. There was like whole valleys beneath us. Like, it wasn't just something that like in the Japan one where it's like 5 foot off the ground. It was like there was like a whole building. It was like looking down off like a 20-story building. It was so high up. It was horrible. So we were both kind of like looking forward, like, oh my god, can it finish? And it just went on for so long. It just kept going. And then in the picture, which I'll try and find and put in here, but you can like see me like gripping my phone as I'm filming, like not wanting to move or let go of my phone. But I managed to smile, and my mum's just kind of like, it was death trap. It was horrible. I did not like that, but I'm glad that we got to the top, because it meant when we came down, you get to go on a toboggan, which is basically a metal slide, and you sit on like a slab, and there's like a lever where you pull it to go faster and push it to stop or whatever. You go on one of those all the way down, and it's like this giant slide, and that was so cool. That was my favorite part of the day. It was absolutely brilliant, and I literally sped down it. Like, I was going so fast, and luckily I was put in front of my mum, because whilst I was speeding down, I got a really nice picture on it as well. And even though I was kind of too tall for the sled, that I got put on a regular one, and like my knees are like by my shoulders because I'm like cramped up on it. But yeah, I sped down, whereas my mum is going like 2 miles per hour on this thing, going really slowly, and my brother got stuck behind her. So in the picture from my mum, you can see my brother and then 2 other people stuck behind her, and then in my brother's picture you can still see my mum because she was going so slow past the camera. So he wasn't very happy with it, and he didn't like it because he couldn't go fast. But me, you couldn't even see anyone in the back of my picture. I was like speeding down there, and I did eventually catch up with the person in front of me, and they kept braking at every corner. I was like, I know you're supposed to brake at corners, but you don't have to slow the entire way down. Like, come on, let's go. It was so fun. I actually really loved the toboggan, and at one point I was like, yeah! It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. And then we did some shopping on some of the little stores. I got this little Great Wall of China. I love getting mini monuments for my bookcases. I love them. But yeah, that was day 2 at the wall. It was so much fun. I'm so lucky to have been able to see it, and I definitely recommend, if you ever get the chance to go and see it, go and see it. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a world wonder for a reason. But yeah, let's get on to day 3 now, where we go to, this was my choice, we go to Universal Studios. And I know that seems like a waste of a day when you're like in a complete different continent, but I really wanted to go to Universal Studios. I've never been to one before, and they just look so fun. And this one specifically in China has kind of I forgot the word, but it's got an attraction that's only available in China, and it is the How to Train Your Dragon stage show with all like the dragon like animatronics and puppets and stuff. And it's all in Chinese, but I really wanted to see it because I wanted to see the live action dragons. It seemed really cool, and also just generally it looked really fun. Oh, and they had a exclusive, that's the word I'm looking for. They also had an exclusive Kung Fu Panda Land, which also looked really fun. So yeah, let's get into the footage of day 3, where we go to Universal Studios, which ended up being such a fun day. So don't judge me for wasting a day in a foreign country by going to a theme park, okay? Leave me alone. But yeah, let's play the footage of Universal Studios. I got a lot of footage, so hopefully I can spice it up with some voice notes as we get along as well. So let's go into that. So the first thing we saw was that lights camera action, which was so cool, and then we headed over to Minion Funland, which is based on the theme park in the Minions movies, and there's also Groove's house and stuff in there. It was an interesting little area. We kind of just walked through it because we had to, but it was cute.
I don't know. Turn up the lights hot and I'll glow. To the extreme, I rub the mic like a band. Light up the stage, you want some chocolate again. Crazy, what you gonna do? It's got your tick, 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 tick. It's got your day.
And because we were here in October, it was still Halloween time, so they had all this creepy looking food, and we had this face pie thing, and it was kind of gross, but it looked cool. And then we backtracked on ourselves back to the Hollywood part so that we could go and see the exclusive How to Train Your Dragon show. Then we walked through the Transformers area to get to the exclusive Kung Fu Panda Land.
Excuse me?
I did try a corn dog for the first time. Oh my god, it's gross. I don't get the hype. just say Kung Fu Panda Land had such a cool vibe, like the dark kind of interior with all the lanterns and the wildlife in air quotes. It was just such a cool atmosphere. It was actually one of the best parts of the park. It felt so cool. And then we headed to go have a look at Jurassic World, and to be honest, the coolest thing was the gate. The rest of it was kind of just more of the same. It was a bit boring. We weren't that interested in Jurassic World. It definitely could have been more alive with dinosaurs, I think. It just felt a bit empty, you know? So not one of our favourite parts, but yeah, this is Jurassic World. And then last but not least, we went over to see the Water World area. There's not much here other than the actual show, but the show is really cool, so definitely check it out if you are at Universal Studios. There's lots of pyrotechnics, fake shooting, acrobatics, jet ski, stunts. It's really cool, a lot of fun, so go check it out if you And that was our super fun day at Universal Studios in China. I got this really spooky looking drink, and yeah, we had some food, and then we just kind of walked back through the Hollywood bit, saw some meet and greets happening, and yeah, headed on out. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. Universal is so cool. I'd love to go to the one in Florida because apparently it's bigger, and also the shows will be in English, so maybe I'll actually understand them. But the oh my god, the lights, camera, action things, the Steven Spielberg thing was so cool. Like, it showed you all the different practical effects. I thought, from clips I've seen of other ones, I thought it was like a ride you sat on and they drove you through stuff, and like you saw the floods and stuff. Like, there was one in like a subway I saw, maybe that's the Florida one, that looked really cool, but this one was like you just kind of stood there and watched it all, which kind of wasn't as fun, but it was still really cool seeing like all the pyrotechnics and the water and like the different animatronics that like pulled the windows away and pushed the boat, and like when the boat came in, the whole floor shuddered as well, which was really cool. But I had a lot of fun. That was probably one of my favorite attractions. I really did like the How to Train Your Dragon one. I'm glad we went and saw it. But they didn't include the best part. There's supposed to be a part at the end where the animatronic of Toothless flies above the audience and the actor of Hiccup sits on it and waves at everyone. But clearly that must have been broken because they didn't let anyone up on the balcony part of the theatre. We all were forced to sit at the bottom, and obviously there was no Toothless animatronic, which was so annoying because that's the main reason I wanted to see it, because obviously that's probably broken and they're probably fixing it on the balcony. But it was still cool for what it was. You kind of understood the story because it's kind of a universal story of a mother's egg being stolen and then she gets angry and then they return the egg to the mother. It was easy to understand even though it was all in Chinese. But yeah, the animatronic that they did have was really cool. And the one for Stormfly, there's just like a person in like a costume and it's so funny because you can see the little human legs running around. But yeah, I really enjoyed my time at Universal Studios. It was really cool. And the water world was also a really cool one with the plane flying in and landing in the water. It was really cool. But yeah, let's get on to day 4. We kind of overestimated our trip. We thought we had 5 days, but we ended up having 4 days because our flight out was at 2:33 a.m. So for some reason in our brain that clicked as, oh, so we've got tomorrow and then another day and then it's like the 2:30 a.m. on that day. No, it was the 2:30 a.m. on this day 4. So yeah, we had planned thinking we had 5 days, but we had 4 days, which is annoying because we were going to go to the Summer Palace and stuff, which we ended up not seeing, or the Lama Temple and the 748 Art District. They were all on our list. We didn't end up seeing them, so room to go back maybe in the future. But yeah, we spent our last day, we were exhausted because we've had so many early mornings and we've been traveling back and forth, and obviously we did all of Japan. So for this last day we just chose one thing and we'd already booked it, so it was the Temple of Heaven, and we thought we'll just go see that, maybe in the afternoon we'll nip to the Summer Palace and just kind of see part of it that we like, because everyone says you have to go for a day, but we're like, we'll just go and see like a good part of it. But yeah, let's go into the footage of the Temple of Heaven, which ended up being the only thing we did, because after that we were all just kind of exhausted and we were like, we're gonna wait until 2 a.m. now, let's just go chill out and enjoy the hotel that we've paid so much money for, and just chillax for the rest of the day and night. But yeah, let's get into the footage of the Temple of Heaven. And we're now at the Temple of Heaven. This is also the last day. That tree that I just showed you over there is 680 years old. So yeah, that's quite cool. So we spent our final day at the Temple of Heaven, and it was a very beautiful area, very green, and I loved all like the old architecture with the red and the colourful art and all the beams and stuff. And then we were kind of walking through different parts of museums and stuff, so there's different artifacts from all different eras, and then we'll get to the Temple of Heaven. So yeah, I'll let you get on with it. And then here's the namesake itself, the Temple of Heaven, the main temple in this area, built on all these tiers in a circular structure. And my goodness, it's so detailed, like the gold, the colours, like the blue and the reds. It was so beautiful. There was a lot of crowds here, as should be expected, and there was a lot of pushing and shoving, which wasn't great and not the nicest, but the actual view of itself is so beautiful, and definitely recommend visiting if you're in Beijing. But it was so beautiful, and then you get to see inside as well. And then we headed on out and saw some kind of mini temples on the way out as well, and a guy dressed as the emperor, like in the old times. And then after this, we were all just kind of exhausted from all the travelling and stuff we'd done, so we went and stayed in the hotel for the rest of the day until we had to get the flight. And that was that. Unfortunately, yeah, we had planned for one more day, but realised that we'd misplanned. But there's still stuff if we go again. So there we go. And there's the emperor guy. Okay, so that rounds off this video. That was day 4. The Temple of Heaven was very cool. It was another walking tour, but she wasn't as kind of in-depth as the one we had for the Forbidden City was, and my earpiece was like malfunctioning the entire time, even though I swapped it about 3 times, so I just gave up at one point and just kind of followed on and just absorbed everything. The temple itself, smaller than I thought it would be, but it was still quite huge. There was a lot of pushing and shoving between the tourists there, like there's a part where you go in to kind of see inside the Temple of Heaven. It's like a mosh pit. Everyone's just shoving in, elbowing, and you're like, guys, chill out. We're all gonna get to see it. Like, if we just it's so British of me. If we all just queued up and just took our time, we would all get to see it. But people like elbowing past and shoving and holding their phones up, and it's like, chill out. let's bring some queuing into this. But the Temple of Heaven itself was pretty cool. I liked it. It was cool. Probably would have preferred to go to the Summer Palace, I guess. But yeah, that was everything for China. It was such a fun experience. I'm not sure if I'd go back to Beijing specifically. Like, I'd like to see the Summer Palace at some point. But I think if I was to go back to China, I'd want to go to Shanghai and kind of like the cyberpunk futuristic cities that you see all the time on Instagram, with like all the buildings lit up and the drone shows and stuff. I think that's Shanghai. But yeah, it was a really fun time this time. I enjoyed it. It was something a bit new, and I always like visiting new countries. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that's everything that I have to say. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. And my yapping, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I'll see you in the next video. I'm not sure what it'll be, not sure when I'm going to post this, whether it'll make it in 2025 or whether I'll end up posting it 2026. I don't know, but let's see what happens. Anyway, I'm yapping. Leave a like, comment and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Leave an emoji in the bottom, something China related, I don't know, like a lantern or something, to let me know you got this far. I doubt anyone will, but I appreciate you if you did. Love heart. Thank you very much. But yeah, Or should I do it the Gen Z way? I just did like the millennial love art. I meant to do the Gen Z one. But yeah, thank you very much for getting this far. See you in the next video. Bye.